With the hopeful release of GTA 6 around the corner, I figured why not go through and platinum a bunch of the other GTA like games that have come out through the years. And I wanted to start with a game I enjoyed when I was younger, and that is Sleeping Dogs. A game released August 13th, 2012, and on PSN profiles has a difficulty of 3 out of 10, taking roughly 30 hours and only one playthrough. Let's dive into Hong Kong's underbelly of Triads and begin this trophy gathering crime spree. The game opens up on a rainy night on a dock with what appears to be a drug deal going down, and it's being watched by some cops in a van. The deal starts to go down, but a random dock guard walks in and interrupts, and sadly ends up paying the price for that by getting a cleaver to the chest. But the Hong Kong police step in to break up the attack and the deal, and everyone makes a run for it. And during that, we see one of the guys that was buying the drugs get cuffed by the police, so the other guy keeps running but gets surrounded and caught as well. While sitting in his cell, a guy named Jackie Ma calls out to Wei, and apparently they grew up together, and then he tells me that another guy we grew up with became Red Pole and a son on Yi, which is basically a top lieutenant in the Triad gang, and that he is working with him. Our conversation ends when Jackie gets bailed out of the jail, but before leaving I tell him that if he or Winston needs any help to hit me up. Then while in an interrogation room, a detective says that the evidence against me failed to appear while the other turns off the camera. But then it is revealed that Wei is an undercover officer and that the entire plan was for Wei to get arrested so he could get close to Jackie and subsequently Winston. After leaving the meeting and getting released, I meet up with Jackie because he is introducing me to Winston. While heading there, some thugs start to press Jackie, and so a fight breaks out, and after handling the thugs, Jackie and I head to the Golden Koi. And as I head to the back, Jackie has to vouch for me with one of Winston's enforcers before Winston himself speaks up. He then tasks me to go with Conroy, the enforcer from before, to go handle a problem in the night market. But before that, Conroy wants me to prove myself, so him and two other members jump me, and I have to hold my ground. Winston breaks up the fight, and just as he does, another red pole named Dog Eye shows up, and apparently is here to get Winston to surrender the night market to him. But that offer is refused. After Dog Eyes leaves, Winston tasks me and Jackie with going to the market to extort some of the vendors so they know who is really in charge. I go around collecting the red envelopes and also fighting off some of Dog Eyes' men until Conroy comes and pulls Jackie away for another job. I then do a favor for a vendor in a night market, and there are a handful of favors in the game to do which affect these three trophies, as well as doing all of them gives us this one. While doing the favor, I pop my first trophy of the game, and after completing the favor, I head to meet back up with Winston, who was having a sit down with Jackie, who was informing him that a guy named Ming, who didn't want to give Winston his normal cut of his profits because he was partnered with Dog Eyes, so he sends me to go handle him, and after finding him, he leads me on a chase throughout the night market. But after catching up to him and beating down a handful of his goons and Ming himself, I get surrounded and arrested by HKPD. Inside the interrogation room, I meet Inspector Tang, but the interrogation doesn't last long because Pinju shows up and tells her that I'm an undercover cop. After everything is understood about my job, I leave the room and pop another trophy. The next day, I meet up with Jackie because I'm tired of being just an errand boy, and Jackie recommends we steal a shipment of goods Dog Eyes has coming in. So I make my way to the docks, and after beating the guards at the docks, I end up in a car chase going after the van with the cargo in it. After disabling the van, Jackie grabs a case from the van, and then we take it to a different dock where Top Glamour Imports is, so Jackie can make the deal. After turning to the Golden Koi while talking to Winston, he puts me in charge of a bus route racket because of my recent achievements. But I have to secure it because it belongs to Dog Eyes right now. So after heading out with some backup, I take out Dog Eyes' men and then force the current bus driver to give me all his passengers, and then drop them off at the night market after taking out some thugs in cars. I meet up with Inspector Tang and agree to help her find Ming's supplier. I then meet up with Ming and he wants me to go talk to Popstar because he's unsure of how he will react since he has left Dog Eyes' employ. After finding Popstar and helping get some money owed to him, I'm able to secure Ming's supply, but I also meet Popstar's supplier, Fang Shin. And after avoiding arrest, I return to Ming with his package. Continuing the case, I hack a security camera and then head to my apartment to access the CCTV footage to help arrest Fang Shin. And after helping set up that arrest, I leave my apartment and get stopped by a woman asking for directions to a kung fu school. So I offer to show her to it, and once arriving, it's revealed that this is the school that Wei learned how to fight in, and after that, Ting texts saying that she has a van ready for me to stake out Popstar. So I head back to his normal basketball court once he hops into a car. I follow him to the docks where I get a few pics of him doing illegal activity, and after serving Popstar up on a conviction platter for Tang, I pop another trophy. I get to the Golden Koi but get sent out immediately to go to Club Bam Bam because the manager there has decided to work for Dog Eyes. Once arriving, I'm rejected from VIP unless I'm escorted by a hostess, so I find one named Tiffany. But before she shows me to Benny, I end up getting roped into singing karaoke. After finishing the song, I can finally head upstairs to find Benny and he refuses to listen, and the thugs he have then attack me, and during the brawl I pop a trophy for defeating an enemy with a fish, and then catch Benny in the bathroom. He finally understands that I wasn't here to hurt him, but to get him to side with Winston. After I meet up with Raymond to inform him about the situation, but he is concerned about me because of my history with the Sun on Yi. The next day I go back to the Golden Coin and end up getting held down on the table because Winston and everyone else thinks I'm a rat. I'm able to pin everything on Ming, and so Winston puts a bullet in his head. After all that is over, I head to a PC store and meet a girl who we only ever call Not Ping to get a package that Raymond had waiting for me. But as I walk out of the store, a random thief grabs the bag, so I chase him down, and after getting the package back, I call Raymond and he tells me when the Golden Coil will be empty so I can install the bug that's in the package, which I successfully do, and after leaving out the back door, I pop a trophy. I get a call from Tiffany asking me to come to the Bam Bam Club, and once I arrive, she hands me a gun belonging to one of Dog Eyes' guys, and I tell her I'll take care of it. After walking out, I call Raymond so I can hand the gun off to him so he can run ballistics for me. But once I make it to the meet point, Pendrew is there instead, and he has me recreate a shootout. And after that is done, I go to the Bam Bam Club, and as soon as I walk in, I learned that Dog Eyes had the golden koi shot up. So now it's time for some revenge. So I make it to the waterfront building and start to take out all the thugs in different and somewhat violent ways, and also during the fights, I pop a trophy. I find the drug maker but have to chase him out of the burning building, and after catching him, I pop another trophy. But as I exit the building, the explosion caused me to release Siwa, so I have to chase him down on a police bike, and once I catch up to him, I hijack the car from him and pop yet another trophy. Winston meets me and takes Siwa off my hands, and then you guessed it, I pop another trophy. I arrive back at Club Bam Bam and find Winston on the phone, and pretty much as soon as I enter, he says we're leaving because we are going to meet Uncle Po, who is the leader of the Sun On Yi. Once arriving at Uncle Po's apartment, I formally meet the leader, and before the conversation really starts, he thanks me for making sure Siwa wasn't arrested, and then tells me to go talk to a man named Roland Ho. Once getting to his parking garage, he tells me to go after a woman named Patsy Wang because she owes him money from a mahjong. But as soon as I pull up to her, she hops in a car and speeds off, but I manage to hijack the car and start driving her to Roland. But she jumps out of the car, so I just bring the car to Roland instead. I then meet up with Raymond, and per usual, it just turns into a mix of a pissing contest and an argument, and Raymond says he plans to pull the plug on the operation. But then I tell him I just met the leader of the Sun On Yi, and he decides to keep it going. I have a few dates with some of the girls I met so far, and during that, I pop a trophy for getting to face level 2. The next day, I head to the Golden Koi, and Winston's mom asks me to take his fiance out so she can buy some things for their wedding. So I head outside and formally meet the bride-to-be, and she says we're headed to a flower shop. We make it to the shop, and Peggy tries on her dress and looks at the bouquet, and then asks the shop owner if she can arrange her black orchids, but is denied because there are none available for sale anywhere. But a temple has them but refuses to sell them to anyone. But on the way to our next location, Winston texts me saying that someone is stealing their wedding cake, so I race over to stop that from happening. So I hijack the van and then drive it to a garage for someone to pick it up later. Then me and Peggy drive to the temple, and I switch the clothes and then make my way through to grab the orchid. But then I have to fight the monks of the temple to leave, and with the orchid secured, I take Peggy back to the Golden Koi where she thanks me for being someone that Winston can truly rely on. The big day is here, so I head to a clothing store to grab my tux. I then make it to the venue and greet Winston and Peggy, and soon after my arrival, Uncle Po shows up, and so Winston asks if I can grab a case of Uncle's favorite wine out of his car. So I head to do that, but while running the errand, shots ring out from inside the building, so I run to go see what is going on, and once inside, I see that is the entire catering staff attacking. I'm finally able to make it to Winston, but I'm too late, and both him and Peggy have been fatally shot, and Winston asks me to get Peggy's body out and then dies. I continue into the main hall where I see Uncle Po take a shot to the shoulder. I then get into a massive gunfight before making it outside, where I find Uncle Po and start to get him to safety, and during that I manage to pop a trophy. I manage to get Po to the hospital and then leave before the police show up per his advice. I meet up with Raymond, and again he tries to pull the plug on the operation, but I'm able to shut him down by proving that I'm as close to Uncle Po as possible at this point, then I leave. During another police case I have been helping Tang with, I pop the Gadget Man trophy, and another shortly after for visiting all 4 areas of the game. After the case, I go to the Golden Koi to check on Mrs. Chu and tell her that I saw one of the gunmen and will go find him and make him say who was responsible. But she says she wants me to bring the person to her. I get Johnny Ratface's number, and after tracing the call, go to his hideout. I shoot through all of his goons and chase him down in a car chase until I'm able to hijack the car and bring it to the Koi, where I leave him with Mrs. Chu so she can do her work. I get to Club Bam Bam and find Jackie and Conroy arguing with each other, and as we talk, a guy who works with Big Smile Lee walks in and says that the money Winston was getting paid for operations will now go to Lee. We obviously don't agree to that and point a gun to the guy's head and tell him to stay out of our territory. But as he leaves, the club gets overrun and we have to shoot our way out. The gunfight spills out into the streets, and once Jackie arrives with a car, we chase down Ponytail, the guy from earlier, and both cars get totaled in the car chase. But it isn't over yet because now Ponytail and I are on foot, and as I continue the hunt, and like usual, once I catch up, it turns into a fist fight, and after beating him, he is able to get a sneak attack on me because I get distracted by the police sirens. I managed to evade the cops by hopping in a limo owned by another of the Sun On Yi Red Poles, Broken Nose Zhang, and as she drops me off, she says that we should work together to put a stop to Big Smile Lee, and obviously I agree. I then get a text from Jackie about him getting ripped off by some guys from the Top Glamour, so I know my next move. I make it to Jackie, and he says that when he brought the Top Glamour guys more watches, instead of money they gave him a motorcycle that he doesn't know how to ride. So I hop on it and ride off to talk to them. Once arriving, Naz, the guy in charge, tries to blow my cover as a cop because he's a snitch for Tang and has his guys try to kill me while he drives off in a van. But I'm able to catch up to him, and after gunning down a few of his men, I throw him in the trunk of a car and drive off to deliver him to Tang. I head back to the Golden Koi, and Mrs. Chu tells me that Dog Eyes was the one that got the wedding shot up, and she tasks me with bringing him to her. I make it to Dog Eyes' hideout, and when he sees me, he jumps on a boat and tries to speed off, but the boat chase quickly turns into a foot chase when I catch up to him in a freezer of a fishery. And after beating him down, I drag him out of the building and throw him into the trunk of a waiting car and deliver him to Mrs. Chu. And after dropping him off, you can guess what happened to him. After waking up in one of my apartments, I get a text from Uncle Po's advisor saying to meet at the hospital. While at the meeting in the hospital room, Uncle Po says I am to be formally initiated into the Sun On Yi and be made into a Red Pole. But just as a side thing, I have just been doing gang activities for no reason if I haven't already been in the Triad, but I digress. The next order of business discusses who is going to lead the Triad while Uncle Po is recovering, and it is decided that it will be Tu Chin Sao, since he is Poe's nephew. And with those matters handled, I call Jackie so that he could be initiated officially as well, then go and pick him up before going to our target, who we find quickly, and as we all fight, he manages to overpower me and pull a gun, but Jackie saves me by shooting him in the head. We then leave the area and go to the initiation, which I'm going to let play out so that you can understand a little about how gangs can control its members in different ways.
Brothers, from today forward, your lives will be forever changed. Because today you are my brothers. We're bound to each other by blood, sworn to protect each other to the death if necessary. With our brotherhood comes duty. You will obey our leader in all things, and you will show your brothers respect always. With our brotherhood comes power. The Sun On Yi does not die. The Sun On Yi does not forget. It rewards its sons with wealth, status, and honor. It protects their businesses and their families. It cares for their children as if they were their own. Our brotherhood pays our enemies with pain, suffering, and death. And none suffers more than a traitor. Betray your brothers, and you will die 1,000 times over, slowly, in the dark. The Sun On Yi and the gods themselves will burn your soul from your body and crush the ashes with our heels. There are 32 oaths. With them, you are bound together. With them, you become Sun On Yi. Are you ready to begin?
After the initiation, Raymond calls me for a meet and says that Pendrew wants me to dig up information on Sunny Woe. He also says he plans to arrest Jackie. I call Jackie the next day and he says he has something big for us and to meet him at his place. And after picking him up, we head to the docks because we are apparently stealing some jewels from some cargo trucks. And after finding the right truck, Jackie gets pushed in and some 18K members run off with the truck, making me chase after them. I'm able to hijack the truck, and after getting control, I check the back for Jackie and find him beating down the thug that was there with him. And after getting to the drop-off point, Jackie gets arrested as I watch from afar, and I pop a trophy afterwards. As I'm just enjoying my night for once, I get a call from Ricky telling me to get to the hospital because the 18K are attacking, trying to take out Uncle Poe. So I rush over and begin a reign of terror led by bullets. I make it to Poe's room, but have to leave to turn on the power because the 18K had shut it off and he's on life support. So I go and get the power back on, then continue my hospital shootout. And after clearing out the hospital, Ricky and I leave, but run into the cops who we have to outrun. During that, I pop another trophy. After dropping Ricky off, I go back to my apartment and go to sleep. Once I wake up, Ricky texts me saying to meet at Sunny Woe, so I head over and officially meet Sunny, as well as a producer from America named King, who I am tasked with showing around the town. I take King to the K-bar, and after bringing some girls to the VIP room, we all have a great time, from singing karaoke to taking a bunch of pictures. And after the fun is had inside, we get into more fun out when we have to take out some thugs that try to jump us. And after all the fun is said and done, I drop King off at his hotel. I return to Sunny's place and get tasked with going to pick up Vivian, the starlet that Sunny manages. I get to the meet point and pick up not just Vivian, but also her friend Sandra. Because Sandra wants some excitement before being dropped off at home, we go to a car race, which I easily win, but before we can celebrate, the police show up, so everyone has to scatter, and after losing the cops, I drop the girls off. After a hectic night out, I meet with Jang the next day, and she says that I have to push 2chin over the edge with his heroin usage by messing with his house and disrupting his feng shui. I leave Jang's place and drive to 2chin's with old Salty Crab and proceed to break into his house. And after breaking a bunch of vases among other things and hiding from security, me and Salty make our way out of the house, then watch as 2chin enters his home and starts to freak out. Then we leave the gated community and Salty drives off in his own car, and then Jang calls to inform me that Uncle Poe has died and that the organization is making arrangements for his funeral. I head back to Sunny's place, and during a quick talk, he asked me to bug Vivian's apartment, so I head over there to do the job I was tasked with by hacking her computer, bugging the kitchen. But while I was about to plant the camera, Ricky and Vivian show up at the apartment. I'm able to plant the camera successfully and sneak out by jumping from the balcony. And after that's done, I go to meet Pendrew at a rendezvous because Raymond had texted me earlier, and I tell him about the bugs I put in Vivian's apartment. He asks for a copy, but in exchange asks for Jackie's release, and so I head home to put the data on a drive. And while doing that, Vivian shows up at my door because Sunny sent her to thank me, but I turn down the offer. I then go back to the meet point and hand off the drive, and Pendrew says that the operation is over now, but I don't agree and basically go rogue, saying that I won't follow Pendrew's orders. I wake up the next day to a call from Raymond with him telling me that Jackie is about to be released, just in case I wanted to be the one to pick him up. So I head to the station, and after picking him up, we head to the clothing store to get suits for Uncle Poe's funeral. We make it to the funeral, and as we all pay our respects, members of the 18K and the police are sitting in wait. But the full piece doesn't last long because once Sunny arrives, he is immediately arrested by Pendrew, and then he leaves, which lets the 18K run in to start their attack, meaning all the funeral attendees have to shoot their way out. So we aren't attending another one of those, and after the rival triad is handled, leaders start to argue about who should be the chairman next, and it ends by everyone agreeing to have an election per the traditions. After all the excitement, I wake up the next day to a text from Conroy telling me to meet him because something big is going down. Once I arrive, I find some thugs beating down on some random person, so me and my boys proceed to handle business. And after that fight, Mrs. Chu texts me saying that the 18K are shooting up the Golden Koi. So I rush over there to help and end up in a massive gunfight that ends with me lobbing grenades down from a scaffolding. And after all that is resolved, I hop in a car to go meet with Ricky, where I try to convince him that Big Smile Lee is the true bad guy among bad guys, and he says he doesn't betray his friends, but we know he won't stand in our way at least. The next day I meet with Raymond, and as our conversation goes along, he says he isn't sure if Pendrew will blow my cover, but he wants me to come in with him to smooth everything over. But before we can finish, Jackie calls me, but on the other end is a guy saying that they have him hostage and to follow their instructions. So I leave Raymond to go find Jackie, and after getting to the meet point, I walk into an obvious trap and beat down the thugs. Then make the leader tell me who planned this and leave to find him next. And after beating him down, I call Old Salty Crab to set me up with a boat and a gun. I make it to the island that the enforcer buried Jackie and dig him out of his would-be casket. And after getting Jackie back to the docks, I pop a trophy. The next day, Jackie texts me saying he has something to show me, so I head out to meet him, and once I make it to the meet, I call Jackie and hear his phone ringing nearby. And as I turn the corner, I find Jackie, but not in the state we were hoping, and as I try to get him down, I get knocked out from behind. I wake up tied to a chair and being greeted by Mr. Tong, a Triad torturer, and he proceeds to do his job until I pass out. I come to a little bit later and manage to free myself using the power tools that were used on me. I then make my way through the building while injured, taking out thugs until I can actually escape, but before I make it out the building, I am cornered by Tong and have to fight him in a sauna room. And I managed to kill him, not just for myself, but for Jackie. And as Tong gets a text, I check it and see that it came from Big Smile Lee, saying that Jang is next on the list. So I take Tong's car and head to Lee's compound. I arrive and punch and shoot my way into the compound. I find Lee, but as soon as I kick in the door, I take a shotgun shot to the shoulder and then have to chase after Lee. And he crashes the boat that he was driving into a floating building. And then guess what he does?
He starts monologuing.
Piece of fucking shit. Fuck! How does it feel, pig? To know that your boss sold you out. And you fucked your way almost as bad as you fucked Jackie. You were supposed to die with Winston. Dog Eyes blew that. And that poke guy Tong, fucking worthless lungyang. But that's okay. Because I am gonna enjoy killing you myself. Fuck you.
Which gives me the chance to disarm him, and we start our final brawl. And after beating him senseless, I throw him into an ice chipper, and after the fight is over and the police arrive, I tell Raymond that Pendrew is dirty and that he snitched on me to Lee. But Raymond says that it won't matter and walks me away from the scene. Later, while in my apartment, I find an envelope from Zhang, and inside is a flash drive, and on it is a video of Pendrew killing Uncle Po by putting something in his IV drip. Skip forward, we are in an interrogation room with Pendrew, and I tell him that he is going to jail and that I'd let all the people there know what he did to Uncle Po. And as I leave the station, I run into Tang and thank her for helping me stay sane, while from afar, Zhang is watching and says that the Sun On Yi will leave me alone. And with that, I pop the last main mission trophy.
Guangxi, terror of the Far East, tormented in the underworld for thousands of years, feeding on nothing but their hatred, their bitterness, planning their revenge. When the gates of hell open, the Guangxi come forth, an undead army at their back and all of Hong Kong at their mercy.
The DLC opens with Wei and Not Ping coming from a movie, and Old Salty Crab, who is apparently Not Ping's uncle, shows up and he says not to make fun of the Jiangxi. And as they continue to talk, a person appears out of nowhere next to them and then says that the gates of hell are open and that the Sun On Yi will pay, and then grabs Not Ping and runs off. I chase after the blue flame silhouette of the guy until I make it to Salty being suspended in the air, and I get attacked by a group of Jiangxi. But I'm able to defeat them because I guess normal kung fu makes me a Ghostbuster. And after saving Salty, the chase begins again, and I save a random civilian, then make it to the room where Jackie got jumped by those random 18K thugs in the main story. And after beating Jiangxi here, I get punched in the face by Smiley Cat, then watch as he makes Not Ping disappear before he leaves himself. I then get a call from Salty telling me to head to the Golden Koi. Once arriving, I see the ghost of Vincent sitting down and eating some noodles, and after finishing my talk with him where he says to leave him an offering sometimes, I head out the back door and see a Yao Guai pop out from the ground. And as I try to fight against it, I'm unable to land a single hit. Then Salty yells from the roof to get out because I can't kill it. And after I make it up to Salty, he tells me that I'll need a Chinese magic to beat it. And he sends me to meet a guy named Hao Fat Wu since he has the best magic tea in town. Once I arrive at the apothecary, and after saving Hao, he sends me out to collect some ingredients so he can make me the tea, and also warns me that the 18K are also trying to make the tea. First on the grocery list is a ghost pepper, which I easily find in a home garden. Second is the egg of an albino hen, and in order to get it from a shopkeeper, I have to handle some kids who keep tagging his storefront. And after that is handled, the last ingredient is antifreeze, so I head to a garage, and after taking out some 18K members, along with some Jiangxi, I'm able to secure it, and then head back to Hao's store. And after he makes the tea and I drink it, and has me look like Hinata doing her Twin Lion Fist jutsu.
このまま終われない。ほんの少しでも可能性があるなら。10
So with the new powers acquired, I head back to the coin and begin my second round against the Yao Guai. And after banishing it, Salty texts me saying I should check out the waterfront because something is going on. Once I arrive to the waterfront, I find Smiley Cat rallying a bunch of possessed 18K thugs. Once I'm noticed, he sends them after me, and after I defeat them, Salty pulls up and we drive to follow the rest of the 18K. And after catching up and taking them out, what I can only say is a portal to hell opens up, so I begin to throw in Jiangxi so I can close it and end the fight. And as the fight ends, Smiley Cat shows back up and summons Dog Eyes, Johnny Ratface, and Ponytail back from hell so they could hopefully get their revenge on me. The first on my list of banishments is Johnny Ratface, and I find him back at his old compound. And after a rehash of our chase from the main story, I beat him down and send him back to hell. Next on the list is Dog Eyes, and I end him in his old drug warehouse by burning him in a furnace, meaning the last on the list is Ponytail. And I find him at the Bam Bam Club, and after defeating him, I make him tell me how to defeat Smiley Cat, and apparently I have to burn his body, and he tells me where the final piece of him is located because the rest of him was ground into cat food when he was killed. And after banishing Ponytail, I pop my first trophy of the DLC. I make it to the temple where Smiley Cat's finger is located, and after climbing the stairs, I find Not Ping still held captive and Smiley in front of her. And as I fight off some Jiangxi that Smiley summoned, he possesses an unconscious monk and finally fights me in earnest. After repeating that process twice, Smiley Cat finally fights me without possessing a person. I defeat him, and when I do, Not Ping is freed and we both go into the temple, and I throw the finger in the fire, which causes Smiley to finally be put to rest, and the DLC ends with Wei and Not Ping bringing a bowl of noodles to Conroy's headstone and a freeze frame of Not Ping possibly being possessed, and I pop the last story mission of the DLC. And with the DLC beaten, we just do a quick cleanup of the last 3 trophies. Hell Money for finding all the money shrines, Ghost and Stuff for completing all the secondary content, and Cursed Gold for achieving 5 gold stats. The second of the DLC opens with Wei walking into the bullpen and talking to Tang about getting a call about a problem at the New Year's celebration. But because I've rubbed some of the higher ups the wrong way, instead of being able to help with the main case, I get put on meter maid duty. But that is until I see a car speed into a giant public area and then chase after the people that bailed out of the car. As I talk to witnesses, I'm able to find all the suspects in question, and after subduing them, I investigate their car to find an explosive. So I proceed to drive the car into the water, so it doesn't hurt anything or anyone. I contact dispatch and have them run the plate number for an address and head there next, and it leads me to a warehouse on the docks where I find plans for more car bombs as well as supplies to make them and posters of propaganda. When I leave the warehouse, I get jumped by some of the cult members, and after taking them down, I end up in an interrogation room with Tang and one of the members, and he says that the world will end at the start of the year of the snake, or so Massachusetts says, and after the interrogation ends, I pop a trophy. I then head to a clothing store because I need an outfit to go undercover again, and after I secure my suit, I head to the K-bar, and once arriving, I hear about a dealer waiting in the back, so I go to meet him and he makes a run for it, but I'm able to get him surrounded and arrest him, and from here it turns into kind of repetitive cases of finding car bombs or defeating cultists. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit to where I end up at a fish market, and fighting my way through the ways of cultists, I find the bomb maker and drag him to the mobile police HQ. And after dropping him off, I get sent out to handle some riots that have started to break out, so I beat down some cultists and start tossing tear gas, and after getting the riots subdued, I'm again going to skip forward a little bit because it's another repeat of car bomb disposal and cultist brawls. I get info on where Master Chu is located, so I head to the docks to make it to him. Once arriving at the docks, me and a few other cops hop on a boat, and then I man the gun to take care of any of the cultists that are trying to stop us. I get to the barge and start clearing house, and once the outside is empty, I kick open the door and arrest the master and watch as the fireworks go off, and I pop the second and final story trophy of the DLC. And now with the story over, we do a quick cleanup and pop Hong Kong's Finest for completing all the secondary content and Goody Monster for collecting all the evidence bags. And now with everything else done, it's time for the cleanup, and like usual, we're gonna speedrun it because it was mainly just collectibles or side activities. First up, we have the Tourist Trophy, where I won a bet on a cockfight, Infallible for winning 50,000 on a single cockfight, Substantial Silver for achieving 15 silver stat awards, Kleptomaniac for hijacking 5 trucks and collecting their cargo, Gaining Face for achieving Face level 5, Foodie for trying 10 different foods or drinks, Golden Touch for achieving 15 gold stat awards, Gun Nut for using 10 different firearms to defeat enemies, Fashion Statement for changing all of our clothes in the wardrobe, Detective for completing 50% of all of the missions in the game, Central Scavenger for unlocking every lockbox in Central, North Point Scavenger for unlocking every lockbox in North Point, Event Driven for completing half of the open world events, West End Scavenger for unlocking every lockbox in Kennedy Town and Aberdeen, Hong Kong Super Hacker for hacking every security camera, Spiritual Healing for praying at all the hell shrines, Great Face for achieving face level 10, Martial Law for defeating all 4 martial arts clubs, Karaoke Superstar for achieving 90% or above on all the songs, Super Cop for unlocking 10 cop upgrades, Case Closed for completing all the cases, Safe Driver for cruising for 2 minutes over 60 kilometers an hour without damaging my car, Way of the Road for completing all the street races, Mr. Nice Guy for completing all the favors, Solid Silver for achieving 30 silver stats, Bounty Hunter for completing all of Roland's jobs, Fashion Victim for purchasing all the clothes, Auto Enthusiast for purchasing all of the vehicles, Whatever's Handy for using 10 different melee weapons, Event Planner for completing all of the open world events, Chief Inspector for completing 100% of all the missions in the game, Pure Gold for achieving 30 gold stats, Ultimate Fighter for unlocking 10 Triad upgrades, and finally Hong Kong Legend, which is the Platinum. And now with Sleeping Dogs in the books, we will be moving on to our next GTA like in this little mini series. But I'm not going to spoil it for you here, so be on the lookout for hints by following me on Twitter or Instagram. And with that being said, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.